19 whites, 3 blacks. But apparently Jenk, the fat brown buffalo, gets on his high horse and tells us that, oh, this is why it happened, because racism, because the kid was black. So Jenk, let me just point out another obvious statement. The Young Turks did not do a single video on those 19 cases. Not a single one. It just wasn't worthy of their time. Did not merit attention. Ignored. What's the point? What, are we going to defend white people? What the fuck? How counterintuitive is that?
Yeah. Now imagine the outroar if that 12-year-old child had been a 45-year-old militia member who was parading around that playground with a rifle on his shoulder.
Yeah, no,
they would say he's exercising his rights.
No, that's such a great point. Because if it was a real weapon held by a 45-year-old white right-winger, people would be livid. How
that he was
dare
killed.
you shoot a guy exercising his Second Amendment rights to just carry around his weapon, right? Yeah. It's a fake gun, it's a 12-year-old, and of course, what's everybody doing there? Defending the cops, right?
And now it's just embarrassing. If it was a 45-year-old white guy, he would get shot just as much. He would get shot with greater regularity. Greater. In other words, cops kill more white people with toy guns than they do black people. Now what? Uh-oh. It's a fact.
So here we go, and we don't understand how dangerous the cops' jobs are. No. Apparently the cops' jobs are not at all dangerous, because the minute they see anybody that presents even a 1% threat, they execute them. Right?
Execution.
I mean, this is the second black guy to be shot with a toy gun, right?
And you remember, exactly, the Walmart situation. And that was about 2 seconds, too. Immediately they come in shooting. Now,
oh, fuck me. The Monday morning quarterbacking of this guy who literally his job is to sit and be fat. He just sits and talks and grows fatter. He has zero danger in his life. Zero. And he has the gall to criticize cops who are out there risking their lives, not figuratively, literally, on a day-to-day, moment-to-moment basis. And this fucking coward is going to sit there and criticize them? Oh yeah, and this is the second black guy to be shot this year with a toy gun? Amazing. You seem to have forgotten the 19 cases where it was a white guy getting shot. This year. How did that slip your mind? Yeah, and I love this 2-second thing. Like, what do you think a gunfight is? If a guy pulls a gun, or doesn't put his gun down, or has a gun in his hand, how long do you think it takes for him to squeeze the trigger and kill the cop? More than 2 seconds? No, it doesn't. So if it's a 2-second period, that's completely legitimate. That's what we're talking about. So some guy pulls a gun on you and you're supposed to think, well, let me count to 10 here before I react. No! Idiots. Fucking so stupid.
I want to talk about one of the reasons why, some of the science done into why perhaps people would think that a 12-year-old with a toy gun on a playground was a deadly threat. This is a study from the APA that we talked about back in March of this year. In one experiment, students rated the innocence of people they're shown photos, ranging from infants to 25-year-olds who were black, white, or an unidentified race. The students judged children up to 9 years old as equally innocent regardless of race, but considered black children significantly less innocent than other children in every age group beginning at age 10.
Yeah, John, but there's a fucking reason for that. He puts out this stat like, hey, this is bullshit. I was taught in kindergarten that everything should be equal and everything is fair in the world. But John, black youths do commit more crimes. So depending on how you phrase that question, there's a likelihood that they are not innocent. Because that's what the numbers reflect. Young black men are a national disgrace when it comes to crime and wreaking havoc and mayhem on society. This is not a well-kept secret. Everybody knows this. So yes, young black men do commit way more crime than everybody else. So if you see a picture of one, you might think, yeah, I'm gonna be on greater alert because I am aware of the statistics. I'm aware of probability. I live in a fucking universe that is based on facts and math, and I'm not gonna pretend that this is not happening just because it makes you feel cuddly.
And perhaps more importantly, the students overestimated the age of blacks by an average of 4.5 years and found them more culpable than whites or Latinos, particularly when the boys were matched with serious crimes. So they think that they're 4.5 years older, which when you're 10 or 11 years old, is night and day difference in the size and the threat represented by them.
Douche, what is the map? Who cares if you don't know what age they are? What does that have to do with anything? I can't tell you how old any Asian person on the planet is. I cannot get within 10 years. What does that mean? And what do you mean how big they are? John, if you have a gun, it sort of doesn't matter how big you are. Fuck, there's been like 26 killings from toddlers this year. Toddlers getting their hands on guns, killing people. Oh, but hey, the toddler was small, so I guess his gun-wielding fingers didn't work well. So I guess him squeezing a trigger of a gun doesn't matter.
And they also think that they are more responsible for what they do.
So the cop, once he called in the shooting, said, "We got a black male, maybe 20." So he was actually 12, right?
12.
So now, look, here's the most important part of this, okay? Now the cops are one thing, and I'll rage about them in a second, but understand the hidden bias that's embedded in us as a culture, right?
No, not right, Cenk. I do understand, unfortunately for you, I do understand the not-so-hidden bias of you. You, brown guy. You, Turkish delight. Your bias towards white people. So even when facts are presented, even when it's obvious that you are cherry-picking situations and cases that suit your agenda, and then exaggerating them and extrapolating off them, and making absurd claims about white people at large. Okay, he is not saying that white cop was X. He is saying white people are X. That is racism. Once again, I'm here to point that out. It's rather obvious, but it does delight me to look at this guy and realize that he thinks he is fighting racism. He thinks he is fighting against racism while being insanely racist.
This is not testing, just specific white people, Republicans, right-wingers, cops. No, it's embedded in the culture.
It's just students.
It's just students. And they're not guilty. They're not racist. They're not horrible people. So that's what we're trying to say. Recognize it. It's not just, oh, yeah, you crying racist. No, dude. But it's a study, okay?
Yeah, but the study is according to fucking life, Cenk. Because they are more guilty of committing crime. I mean, how fucking many times can I explain that to you? If you see a little picture of a blonde girl and a little picture of a young black guy, your tendency is to know, not to think, to know that the likelihood that the black guy is guilty of a crime or is more dangerous, therefore, is justified. It is abso-fucking-lutely justified. There is nothing wrong with that. In fact, there's everything right with that. It makes absolute sense. It is common sense. It is rational. So no, we're not going to join you in your fucking liberal bubble, your fantasy world in which stats don't matter and where black people don't commit as many crimes. Because socioeconomics, slavery. Did we mention the KKK today yet? Anybody? Yeah, that doesn't work on people who are smart.
You think they're 4.5 years older than they actually are, and they literally think they're more guilty, they're more responsible. These are things that you assume about black people. We all assume about black people, whether we want to or we don't, according to the study, right? We're trying to get you to understand that, so you stop assuming it, so you stop killing 12-year-olds who pose no threat whatsoever.
Yeah.
No threat whatsoever while he's brandishing a gun? Are you fucking demented? And wait a minute, I'm not killing 12-year-olds, Cenk, and that is not a policy of the cops or white people in general. In fact, let me rehash what we call a throwback, that this year, 19 white people with toy guns were killed. So what does that do to your fucking argument? I'll tell you what it does. It eviscerates it. Oh God, Cenk, it's no more. Your argument has been absolutely refuted.
To shoot or not. And when it's a person with a gun, cops make the decision to shoot if it's a black person more quickly than if it's a white person. They literally click the button faster.
What do you click the button? What study is this? Also, John, you don't seem to recognize or understand that black people are a greater threat to the lives of cops. Greater. Percentage-wise, this is what they encounter. John, do you read this? It's fucking crazy, dude. John, this is the stat of shootings in New York last year. So If you know, imagine you're a cop. You have a beat. You're a New York City cop. And you know that these are the stats. You see these people in the jail cells. You understand the crimes that they did commit. And you're out in the street and you see a young black man and he pulls a gun. You see a gun on him. And you know these stats, John. Do you think you're going to react differently if the guy who's pulling a gun or who has a gun is an Asian or a white after you see these stats? You know who's doing the shooting. You know who is an actual viable threat. Of course you are. Dumb. God damn it, it's dumb.
So that's
And
also
that's
studied.
reproduced numerous times.
Right. Now, and of course, we see it playing out almost on a daily basis in America in the real world.
Oh, janky. Oh, do we really see that? Do we see cops killing people? Oh, really? Kind of like the 379 white people who were shot by cops this year? Almost twice as many as black people? Oh, that? But I guess I will forever be waiting for your story on how white people are being targeted by cops, about how white people are being killed far more than anybody else in this nation.
Now, look, I get what I mean. We have to stretch the fine because, and people do. Tamir Rice shouldn't have been holding a fake gun. I remember when I was a kid, I had about 30 toy guns, okay? I never got shot for it, right? How many toy guns did you have when you were a kid, right?
Thanks, Jenk. Thanks for that. Yeah, we all had toy guns, Jenk, but we all didn't take out the little tip at the end of it, and we all didn't brandish it in public. This is something that happens, Jenk. And thanks for the anecdotal story about your personal life and the fact that you didn't personally get shot. And guess what? If you did get shot, you'd be like, oh, see, anti-Muslim bigotry from the cops, just fucking Islamophobia. Yeah, Jenk, kids with guns, you can understand. Can you please pretend to understand how a cop would see it as a threat if somebody in public has a gun and is holding a gun? You do understand that that's a threat, right?
How many did those cops have growing up?
Yeah, that's a great point. Okay,
How many do their kids have right now?
Right. Okay, can you just assess the situation for a second? Can you say, hey, is it a fake gun? Is it a real gun? No, I don't have time. I could be killed. I could be killed. There are black demons everywhere, right?
I mean, this is so fucking asinine. These people are acting as if the cops knew it was a fake gun, and they did not. Nobody did. They're acting like it was a super soaker. The guy did not have a super soaker. He had a black gun that looked absolutely identical to a gun. And there's absolutely no reason for the cops to assume it's a fake gun. That is lunacy.
Okay, can you just assess the situation for a second? Can you say, hey, is it a fake gun? Is it a real gun? No, I don't have time. I could be killed. I could be killed. There are black demons everywhere, right?
Is it a fake gun or is it a real gun? Yeah, that sounds like a really great use of your time as a police officer. Excuse me, young black male. I'm just, I see